Hi guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Jill and today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up video. So these are all the books that I read in June. There are still a few more days in June left, so I should be able to finish the book that I'm almost finished with, and I will talk about that a little bit later. I'm sorry I haven't been putting out as frequently as I was a few weeks ago. I've just been distracted by something that is no longer a distraction, so I'm going to be coming back and doing videos hopefully that frequently in the coming weeks because I'm still on summer break and I'm still reading a lot and everything. So yeah. Also, going along with my general reading patterns for the month, I ended up finishing 8 books, and like I said, I'm almost done with the 9th book. I got into a huge reading slump towards the middle of the month. I actually just got out of it because I read a lot of really not good books, and plus I just wasn't in the mood for reading. I was hot, I was distracted, I just didn't want to read, really. So yeah, I didn't read as much as I actually hoped or thought that I would, but I still ended up reading a bunch of books. Like I said, a lot of them weren't very good, but I did read them, so I'm just going to get into the books that I read in June now. The first book I completed was Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. If you haven't heard of this book, I don't know where you've been because it's been everywhere because the movie came out this month and everyone's been doing promotional packages with it, and this book has just been everywhere. If you're unaware, it basically is an adult romance book. It's about this girl named Louisa Clark, and she loses her job at this place, this bakery that she's had a job at for like 7 years, and then she has to go become a care assistant for this man named Will, who's a quadriplegic. Anyway, it was okay. I didn't cry because this book is sad, but I didn't really cry really at it because I expected it to be sad. I went to go see a movie and I bawled my eyes out at the movie. The movie was fantastic. I thought it was a wonderful adaptation for this book. So yeah, I would highly recommend this book and the movie, even though the book didn't necessarily make me cry, but it is a very, very good story and it made me rethink a lot of my thoughts about the world and stuff like that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this if you want something sad and something cute and all that stuff. So yeah. The next book I completed was Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. So yeah, this is the first time that I read this book. If you haven't been following my Harry Potter journey, when I first read Harry Potter, I read 1 through 5, and I never ended up reading 6 and 7, but I finally read 6, and oh my god. So I didn't know so much stuff went down in this book. I mean, I know the big thing that happens in this book because I was spoiled and I watched the movies and everything, but there's so much that's alluded to about like Horcruxes and all kinds of shit that goes down in this book that I did not know happened, and so I'm just thrilled that I read it. Of course, it was 5 out of 5 stars. I adored it so much. Harry Potter is great. I need to get on the 7th one before Cursed Child comes out, which I should be able to do easily because, oh my gosh, it's so good. I love growner, like older Harry opposed to little kid Harry. I just think he's so good, and I love like the tension between him and Ginny that's beginning to form, and I love it so much. I love it so much. And now here is when the reading slump begins. So I finished The Crown Game by Evelyn Sky. This is basically a magical Russian story. It's about these 2 enchanters who have to compete in this game to become the czars. Like head enchanter, it's a fight to the death. Interesting concept. The execution of it
definitely fell flat. Wow, my lighting.
Oh. The execution, I think it just fell very flat for this book. I was annoyed with most of the characters. I was just pissed off. I just did not like them very much. I thought they were way too much insta-love in this book. Everyone was instantly in love with a person, and there was a love triangle, and it was really a mess. You could tell that this was Evelyn Sky's first novel. And so, like I said, it was a very interesting concept. I just didn't like it. I think I gave it 3 or 2 stars. I'm not really sure. I didn't like it. It was my book club book, and it was unanimously decided that everyone in my book club also did not really enjoy this book just because the execution just fell really flat. I read It Wasn't Always Like This by Joy Preble, I'm not really sure. And this book was actually pretty good. It wasn't bad like some of the books that I read this month. It went by very, very quickly. As you can see, it's a very short book. I read it in less than 24 hours. It kept me captivated. It kept me going and running and everything. Basically, it follows these two people, one named Emma and one named Charlie, and they end up drinking from this river. And it basically makes them immortal, and they get separated after a time, and then it's basically alternates between the past and the present is Emma and Charlie trying to find each other, and the past is basically what happens leading up to drinking this immortal juice and how they got separated and all that stuff. It was really action-packed. I thought it was great. I thought the romance was fine. It's not anything highly original or highly very well written, I would say, but it kept me captivated and it was a lot of fun, honestly. I think I gave it 4 stars. So yeah, it was just really quick, and that was good because I kind of wanted something really quick. And I've been meaning to read this book forever. If you've been following my channel, I've been meaning to read this forever, and I finally read it. I'm so proud of myself. Next up, I actually forgot that I read this book, but it was actually very, very good, and that was Flawed by Cecilia Ahern. I was not expecting this book to be good. It's a dystopian. It sounds a lot like The Giver, but it was actually awesome. I can't recommend this book enough. It's brutal in many, many ways. There were actually scenes that I had a hard time reading, and that's not a problem for me. I can normally read gruesome scenes. They don't bother me that much, but scenes in this book were very violent, and you know, I was sick some of the time. Not that it's like a really sickening book or whatever, but I don't know, there was just something about it that was so good. The concept's not original at all, but I guess I just fell in love with the main character, and like the political aspect, while not original, was also very interesting and cool. I don't know, there's just something about this book that I just really, really loved. So this is the beginning of a duology. I think I will definitely be reading the next book because this just actually blew me away about how good it was. Honestly, it was great. It was great, and I don't really know why. Next up, I read The Bane of My Existence, which is The Last Star by Rick Yancey. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to do an angry rant about this book. But if you follow my Goodreads account, you can go look at my review for this book. I gave it 1.5 stars. I was beyond disappointed. The Fifth Wave was one of my favorite books of all time. The Infinite Sea I also adored. But this book was just not even on the same playing field as those two books. The characters were not the same characters I remembered. They completely destroyed most of the relationships in this book. I was confused. I'm still hopelessly confused about what happens in this book, and I don't know whether that was the point, but it just made me angry, and it made me sad, and I didn't even cry because a huge thing happens in this book that's supposed to be really sad, but I wasn't sad about it because I didn't care. I got to the point where I literally didn't care, and all the voices sounded the same because this is in multiple POVs. They all sounded the same. I didn't care about any of them. And that may sound harsh, but I don't know, it might have been partly my fault because I did not reread The Fifth Wave and The Infinite Sea, so I wasn't directly connected with these characters again, but I don't know, I've read a lot of reviews that were negative about this book, but I don't know, give it a try if you like The Fifth Wave. I suppose it's worth finding out what happens, but I don't know. There's a lot more stuff that goes down that I don't want to get into because I don't want to get angry again. Go check out my Goodreads review of it if you want more information about it. This is the book that threw me into the reading slump. I didn't want to read anything after this because I was just disappointed at life, basically. And then things actually started to pick back up after this because I actually picked up my first audiobook because that was my challenge for my TBR jar for the month of June, and I ended up getting Incarnate by Jodi Meadows. And I'm not going to go into my rant about audiobooks just yet, but this was supposed to be a huge challenge for me because I thought that I would never listen to an audiobook. I hated audiobooks. They weren't real books. Like, I didn't have the time. I didn't understand how people could listen to a book. It didn't make any sense to me. But I've since completely changed my thoughts about audiobooks. I've only listened to one, and I will say this isn't the best quality audiobook, I would say. At the beginning, I was kind of annoyed with the lady who narrated this book, but once you get into it, it is a immersive, wonderful experience. And I actually downloaded this from Overdrive, which is an app that I know my grandfather recommended to me, to where all you do is you connect to your library and you can get a ton of free ebooks and audiobooks. I'm not sponsoring or anything, I was just letting you guys know it's a great app. But I've since put on hold some more audiobooks that I will definitely be listening to in the future. Anyway, that's my spiel on audiobooks. This book, Incarnate, I think I would have not liked it if I actually read it in book form. I think I liked it way more when I listened to it. Basically, it's about this girl named Anna, and she is a no soul, which is basically in this world where all of these people have been living for thousands and thousands of years, because their souls continue to be reincarnated. Every single time one of these people die, they become reincarnated into a new body, but their soul is the same. But Anna is a no soul, or a new soul, which means that she hasn't been incarnate, that she is a brand new soul. And basically the government of this world doesn't want to accept her, but then she meets this boy named Sam and he accepts her, and it's so good. I loved it. I know lots of people have negative reviews of this book because they don't think that it's original or whatever. I thought the world was absolutely fascinating. It made me think about so many like moral ideas and stuff. It was honestly really, really good. The sort of love stuff of it was a little annoying at points, but I think it's worth reading, honestly. I'm going to be reading the next books probably in July. So yeah, overall my audiobook experience was a very, very pleasant one. I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. It was a fun experience. And this is where luck completely began to turn, because I finished Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It was one of my book club books, and it was so fantastic. I was in a reading slump still a little bit before when I started this, so it took me a little bit to get into it, but once I was in, I was flying. I was flying so hard through this book. At the middle point, I was like, oh shit. This book was so good. If you don't know, this is another book that Leigh Bardugo places in the Grisha trilogy. If you haven't read the Grisha trilogy, that's okay, because you can read this book and not be spoiled on the series. You don't have to read that series first. This was so good. It reminded me a lot of Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, which if you don't know is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. This reminded me so much of that series, just the heists and the thieves and everything. So it follows 6 thieves, or these outlaws, outcast things, and they go on this impossible heist, and it's just so freaking fun. And this book is one of the most beautiful books I have on my shelf, and I have it signed by Leigh because I went to the release party for this book, and oh my sweet lord, this book was so good, so good, so good. I highly, highly recommend it. Oh, it's so good. I love all the characters so much. So those are all the books that I completed in the month of June, but I'm also currently reading Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I am almost done. I have about that much left, which shouldn't take a lot, because if you don't know, this is told in like files and, let me see, like weird things, so it doesn't take a long time to get through it. And I'm just gonna say right now, this book is freaking crazy. It's insane. It does not slow down for a second. It is so crazy, and I love it with all of my heart. Yesterday I actually had a chance to get the Arc of Gemina, and I passed it up because I knew that I would want the finished copy of the second book. But this book, I'll probably talk about it more sometime. I might even do a review for it, because this book is so freaking good. I just can't even. I love it so much. Oh my gosh, the format that it's in, it's so beautiful. My heart is racing when I read this book. It's so freaking good. Oh my gosh, I just can't stop talking about it. It's so good. I can't wait to finish it. I'm gonna go finish it right now. You guys have it. That was my June wrap-up video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please give it a like if you did, and comment down below anything that you want to talk about. Please subscribe to my channel. I would really, really, really appreciate it. It makes me smile all the time. So yeah. And also, like I already said, I will be linking my Goodreads page below, so if you want to go be my friend on Goodreads, I would love to be your friends. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.